In a bit of an odd turn of events, a group of conservative legal scholars, including Republican-appointed former judges, they've now filed an amicus brief with Judge Tanya Chutkan in in Washington, D.C., concurring with Special Prosecutor Jack Smith's request for a January 2nd trial date. So a group of conservatives, legal scholar conservatives, have filed a brief saying, we agree that Donald Trump needs to have a very early trial. Now, whether or not this amicus brief has any bearing whatsoever on the judge's decision, I don't know that it necessarily would. Trump's constant attacks of the judges and other potential witnesses, however, that is definitely going to come into play, and I do think it's likely that we could see a January trial. But they got to be careful, right? Because Donald Trump also has another trial in January for his second Eugene Carroll defamation lawsuit. So, you got to work out the logistics on that. But here is what these conservative legal scholars said in their brief. There is no more important issue facing America and the American people, and to the very functioning of democracy, than whether the former president is guilty of criminally undermining America's elections and American democracy in order to remain in power, notwithstanding that the American people had voted to confer their power upon the former president's successor, President Joseph Biden. Nothing less is at stake than the American experiment in democracy and democratic government that began with our nation's founding almost 250 years ago. They also added that, by the way, the request for a speedy trial respects and serves the former president's own interest in a speedy trial. So they're also pointing out, listen, this is in Trump's best interest too. Now, what I can't figure out is which side are these conservative legal scholars falling down on, right? Are y'all actually in favor? Do y'all want to see Trump convicted, or do you want to see him not convicted? And to be honest, the answer to that question doesn't matter whatsoever. Because if they want to see him not convicted, then obviously it would be in his interest to get the trial over with before too many primaries and caucuses are underway. Him having these looming trials is going to weigh on conservative voters' minds when they go for the primaries and caucuses. I know it doesn't seem like it now, but as these things keep piling up, eventually they're going to take their toll on him. And if he's not guilty, if he's found not guilty by a jury of his peers, the conservative voters are going to want to know that before they cast their vote for somebody else instead of him. And if he is guilty, according to a jury of his peers, those conservative voters also want to know that before they cast their vote for him instead of for somebody else. So really, it's in the Republican Party's best interest to get this trial going in early January. And I think that is probably, I can't speak for them, obviously, but I think that's probably where these legal scholars are coming from. Because they're conservatives, I get it. And they say, listen, okay, obviously we got some voting happening next year. We got a very important Republican primary. We need to get this out of the way before it's too late to get it out of the way. Now think about that for a second. When did Judge Cannon set her trial for the documents case? She set that all the way next May, which of course, by that point, Trump will have already won the nomination. So all those states that vote before that May verdict comes out, they may have voted for somebody who ends up being a convicted felon, and they didn't want to. Or they may vote for somebody else, even though Trump gets exonerated when they originally wanted to vote for him. That's actually not fair to them. That's, I think, what's weighing heavily on the minds of these conservative legal scholars. Let's get the trial. Let's convict him or find him innocent so we can have a primary where people are not affected by this. They can make their decision based on what the jury decides, because if he's not guilty, he is 100% going to be their nominee. But if he's convicted, it gives the Republican Party plenty of time to find somebody else and finally be done with Donald Trump. So really, the only people who benefit from the early trial would in fact be the Republican Party, which is probably why this conservative group is wanting the trial to get over with as quickly as possible. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel. We also encourage you to like, comment, and share, but again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.